Yeah, Albany, New York for a few more weeks.
Yeah, I'm in Long Island myself, Long Island, New York.
In Wilmington, Delaware.
Wow. And Long Island for a few more weeks. Where are you going after that?
I'll be moving to the Gulf side of Florida, so I'm going to be done with winter for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Vacation there recently. It was nice. My business partner Jim is from Long Island. What
part?
He tells me all the time, but I don't know.
You forget, right? Yeah, there's so many towns in Long Island. How could you keep up?
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm a Queens native, but I'm calling this home for the last 5 years. So
yeah.
You were originally from Jersey, then?
Myself?
Yes, you.
No, the name Cornboy comes from me being from Indiana.
Damn it! That was going to be one of my questions. Okay,
I was going to guess Kansas.
It's a cool little story about that. I don't know if you want me to wait till somebody asks me about it, or if you want me to tell it.
That was actually going to be one of my questions.
Okay. Well, we can talk about it later when you ask.
Awesome.
I could see why Alex is all over you now.
Yeah.
Not just because of the Mythics, but he's an Indiana boy too. So.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
What part?
That's a good question. I don't know. I got to check on my shipping labels that I see.
Yeah, I think he's Southern.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, so I'm used to the Midwest. Yeah, I lived in Chicago for a long time before I transferred up here.
I'm from Muncie originally.
Oh, I know exactly where that is.
Nice.
Good values back from up there. See, that's good stuff.
Not as much anymore. I'm going back and visiting now. I used to love it, but man, it's rough there now.
All right. So just so everybody's aware, we're live. It's Tuesday. Welcome to Breaking the Mold. If it's your first time listening, Breaking the Mold is a topic-driven podcast. And when I say topic-driven, it's mainly just a bunch of guys in a chat thinking about what we're going to talk about the following day. And most of the time, it's connected to collecting or fiction or something fun, because we all use this as a platform to talk about things that make us happy. So we are also part of a big group called the Roma Collectors. And the Roma Collectors is a group of like-minded individuals who come together collectively on our Facebook group, but also we get together quite often, probably about 4 or 5 times a year.
At least.
Yeah, especially this group, us on Breaking the Mold, we probably see each other more frequent than most do. But we have other podcasts like ETR on Mondays. Chan and Brian are both on that show. They're more of a news-driven podcast, but with a bunch of laughs in between. And they're basically the cornerstone podcast, which we all branched off from. So then we have us, of course, again, Breaking the Mold. We have every other Wednesday, we do finger banging. Figure.
Only Wednesdays, huh?
Every other, actually. So, Erik, that's when we actually have a figure being basically a live review. So it's a bunch of guys all in this setup, but basically focused mainly on the figure. And it gives everybody an opportunity in the chat watching live to go and ask questions while they're doing the review, as opposed to watching one and then asking questions after the fact and hoping that somebody replies back.
Gotcha.
So pretty good time. And I'm not going to go through them all, but we also have Masterpiece Ship Piece Theater that's on Fridays, which is very similar show to ours, except they deep dive into stuff a little harder than us, and with the comics and the fiction and stuff like that. Great group of individuals. And I'm forgetting other ones, but we have a Lego podcast, we have a Beast Wars podcast, we have a podcast for everything. So check us out on Roma Collectors, and I'm sure you'll find something that'll interest you. So I'm done with the spiel. I'm Energon Addict, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to introduce everybody else that's here. So I'm going to start off with Brian Brink.
Hey, what's up? So, how you guys doing? How was the weekend?
Good. How was your weekend?
Pretty good, JD.
Good.
I hung out with JD and Chan this weekend down in Maryland at a friend's Halloween party. It was a good time. Very, very good time.
Nice.
And yeah, I dressed up as a cowboy, and I didn't win worst costume, which I was so excited for.
I mean, it was between you and Robin, so it was tough. You got from us. I believe you got what am I trying to say?
What?
You won my heart because
Yeah.
you're my friend, so I voted for Robin.
Aw.
I voted for myself so he wouldn't lose unanimously.
Oh. I didn't vote for worst costume.
What was the other costume? I don't remember seeing pictures.
It was a guy in a Robin, like
a store-bought Robin.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Outfit.
That's
That would be a
tough
bummer
crowd.
to win worst costume.
I tell you, man,
Especially if you try to put some effort into it.
that party, everybody puts effort in. It's
Wow.
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
We
It's
went
good
to
time.
a haunted house. Well, it was a haunted attraction. There were like 9 different haunted houses you went through, one right after the other. Wow, it was intense and insane. It's a good time though.
I love those. I just
Yeah, they're
I get a little too
Oh.
intense at times with those.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's like somebody pops out of the corner, I might just karate chop them or something.
I hate those things, and it's not because I think that they're real or I believe, right? I understand, but that type of adrenaline, that being startled, like I can't stand it. I do not like it at all. So
I don't
Yeah.
really get startled, but I take my girlfriend and I take my wife with me, and I follow behind them, and I love seeing them getting scared. That's fun. I laugh
usually
my ass
laugh.
off through the whole thing.
It's
Did,
fun.
did,
I like
did you
that.
say you take your girlfriend and your wife with you?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Sweet.
it's all good. They're friendly.
Nice. Last time I went to a haunted house, I did get startled, and I reached out and I poked the guy in the eye by accident. One of the actors. So, oops. Sorry about that.
I usually get jump scared and I'll even scream, but then I'll laugh my butt off. Like I think it's hilarious to get scared like that.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get Field of Screams and what's the other one?
I don't know. There's so many of them. Jason's Woods.
Jason's Woods, and there's
I don't remember.
there's 3 or 4 different ones that we have around here. They're all pretty good though.
What was the one we went to? Something Scream Park? Pure Terror Scream Park up in near Monroe, New York. It was really cool.
Nice.
We have to do that. We haven't done that as a group.
Nope.
That would be fun. That would
Yeah.
be great.
I want to hear Gary scream like a girl.
yeah, exactly. I'll have fun.
Greg's like, I'm not going. Bye bye.
Exactly, not for me.
Well, we'll all be together in a couple of weeks, right around Halloween time. Maybe we can make that happen.
Oh yeah, down in DC.
It's always scary in DC.
So you need a haunted house.
Nope. Just get in your car. You're good.
Brian, you done?
Yeah, man, I'm done. I think.
How about you, Gary?
Well, oh, yeah.
What were you gonna say, Brian? I don't want to cut you off.
Well, I was just gonna say, I got a package today.
Ooh.
Oh,
For
Oh,
and
nice.
it has Dave's name on it.
Oh man, I'm gonna divulge something right now. So if anybody knows, eBay, they charge certain state tax on stuff. So I send all my stuff that I buy on eBay to Brian's house to save some money.
How much would tax be on something like that? Couple
I
dollars?
think, yeah, I mean, if it's more than $5-6, I might do it, depending on what it is. But
Wow.
Brian,
You
what's in
must
that
buy
box?
a ton of crap on
I was
eBay
just gonna
if you're
say you
that
don't know
worried
how much
about it.
Dave purchases. Yeah, exactly.
Brian, you
Dave.
should open that up. I think right now is the perfect opportunity to open this up.
All right.
Yeah. While you do that, Gary, why don't you tell us about how you doing?
Yeah, everything's good. It was pretty uneventful. I worked Saturday. Ended up finally saw the Joker movie on Sunday in the afternoon, hung out with the wife. Ended up, I'm committed to this Friday the 13th, mission I said. So I watched, I think it was part 6. So I'm trying to stay with it, but, I don't know if I'm going to make it through all of them. We'll see.
This is your first time through them all, right?
It is. I had never seen any of them as a kid ever. Yeah, just for whatever reason. So I said, let me just, my wife and I started just kind of bored them a couple weeks ago. Let's watch the very first one. And we kind of sat through it, like, okay. And then a couple nights later, we did the second one. We got to the third, and she's like, I'm done. She's like, if you want to keep doing this, that's fine. She's like, but I don't really have any interest anymore. And I'm like, well, let me just, I don't know. I'll try again. And I was traveling for the move, actually, when I was on the house hunting trip a few weeks ago. So I was in a hotel. I was bored. So I'm like, pulled up the fourth one, watched that. And, then I have a conversation with Dick Brammer, who's one of the guys who does the Friday night show. And he had a real deep dive into the series, which kind of sparked my interest. And so we were talking. So I'll do number 5. And I think I'm just kind of reaching that point where my OCD is like, I have to finish it up, but I don't even know how many more there are. It's probably like another 10 or 12 or something like that.
That was going to be my question. I don't know how many Friday the 13th films there are either.
I keep watching the production year, so I'm like, it's up from 1980 to 1986. I'm like, I got quite a ways to go still. Yeah. But no, it was fine. And I bought a toy, and not just I found the big Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus.
Ooh. Target.
Yeah, I found it at Target. And not just because you're on the show, but I have a reputation of collecting characters that. I like the animal companions. Kind of those characters.
Good. I can tell, but I hope that's your cat you're picking.
It is, yeah.
It looks a little strange, Gary.
I know.
You might want to lower the camera just a hair.
I know. She's
Gary, did you see this comment? That's
I did, yeah. No, it's really true. She fell asleep, which I'm like, okay, now I can't move, though. I was like, but yeah, so I picked up the giant dinosaur. So, it's just one more thing to move with us. But I figure once we're in the new place, it'll spark the new setup, new display stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to get that one too, but I haven't been near a Target in a while. So
to answer everyone's burning question, how many Friday the 13th movies there are? There are 12.
There's 12.
Yes.
So I'm at the halfway point. There. Yeah. So now I really have to go.
Yeah. He's okay. He just said in the chat too.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, maybe I should change the camera so you can see that there's a.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not someone's head.
It's not a penis.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that kind of show. What do we do?
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Right.
Dave, it smells.
What's in? Does it? That's not good. What's in the box?
It's sticky.
What's in the box?
It smells and it's sticky.
No, just kidding. Oh, look at this.
You're not done wrapping that up.
Squishy.
It's squishy, but it's not sticky.
All right, and some bubble wrap too.
So while you do that, JD and Chan, why don't you tell us how you doing today?
You first.
I'm having a rough day, guys.
Uh-oh.
But look, I'm still smiling. That's the good part.
Yeah.
Can always count on that.
I had a hair appointment today and it went awry.
Oh.
Yes.
Hence the hat.
No. It's back to the regular colors and it's me, but it was supposed to be something else and it went really, really bad. And so now I'm back to what I was, but my hair feels like
there's another face
straw.
on the screen.
And I look like a crazy lady. And I had some road rage issues back and forth between dropping my son off to work and then like having a bad hair moment and then bringing him home and then having to go back to the salon so the girl could fix my hair.
Wow.
And it was one of those girl moments, like, Jesus, this is why I don't do this shit. Like, this is why I don't do this stuff. And I learned my lesson. I got my slap on the wrist, and now I'm good. I'm happy now. I'm back to normal, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a good weekend.
Mm-hmm. Great weekend.
Hung out with, a certain Mr. Skullface and his family, and the Pinkertons, and Brian, and.
This guy looked awesome. He was Casey Jones and pulled it off famously. It was so he looked so good. It was
not
great.
the train conductor.
No, not the train
guy.
I like the April O'Neil though. April O'Neil was dope too.
April O'Neil was hot as fuck.
What you made a comment last night and you were like, it was too tight. And I was
The
like, no, it wasn't tight
freaking
enough.
ski
It wasn't tight enough.
The ski suit, man. Like it was a 1980s ski suit I found on
I don't know if
eBay.
anybody can see this, but
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Oh, there you go. No, that looks good. What do you mean?
it was too tight. It was
Yeah,
way
you
too
guys looked awesome.
thanks.
it was fun. It was very fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was just, by the end of the night, I was ready to cut the thing off because, I mean, the 80s, like, chicks weren't messing around, man. Like, it was high-waisted, booty hugging. Like, everything was, like, all up in your coochie. It was rough. It's rough stuff in the 80s.
Yeah.
That stuff is coming back, too. I see nothing but mom jeans everywhere.
I know, me too. Even dudes are wearing mom jeans. What the hell? Yeah, I'm seeing that.
I was reading
My
an
gut
article.
hangs too low to wear mom jeans. Sorry.
I was reading an article today. There really is something like tight pants syndrome. It's not good for you.
It's not. It's really not.
No, like, how do you walk when your feet are constantly asleep?
Or sit. I mean,
Or
like,
sit? Yeah.
imagine that seam going in a really not fun
Yeah,
place.
no.
It's not. Anyway, let's not go there right now. This is why camel toes happened a lot back in the day. Let's just go there. Just being honest. I don't lie. You know me. I'm straight up. So, but yeah, it's an ugly time framing, and luckily enough, it was a ski suit, so it was padded inside.
Wow.
But yeah, by the end of the night, I was ready to cut it off. It was rough.
Well, it looked awesome.
Thank you.
Dave, I got it open.
What is it?
It's Mythic. Dude, this is a great gift. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, all right.
Dude,
He's gonna
it's
mix
a
it
Or
up.
region builder.
Yeah, it's the
Well,
yeah.
green orc. These are hard to get.
not for long. Not with All Stars 3 coming out.
Uh-oh.
Spoilers.
Can't wait to hear that.
Did you guys hear that? All you Mythic guys, did you hear that?
Enough.
Oh,
Well, with that said, Erik, how was your weekend?
It was good. Like I said, we went to a haunted attraction, and then Sunday we kind of just hung out around the house, and my girlfriend made us, what was it called? Stuffed pepper stew. It was like
Ooh.
deconstructed stuffed peppers, but like a stew. Oh, it was so good.
Sounds nice.
And I actually got some work done over the weekend, and it wasn't too stressful. So that last weekend, it was super stressful. I was crunching a lot of work that had to be done. But this weekend, it was pretty relaxing, pretty chilled.
Nice.
Yeah, that's always good.
Awesome.
Making up for having to bust your ass at the last minute.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Look, guys, it looks like we got somebody that snuck in here.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Left the door open.
How'd you sneak in here with that big ass beard?
I had to slash Dom's tires to get here, man.
That's the guy that told me that that I wasn't allowed to be on the show if he wasn't
Right.
allowed to be on the show.
Yeah, we're a package deal.
Nice.
Heck
No,
How you
you
doing,
guys-
Alex? What's
I'm
up?
good, man. Good.
Yeah, good weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Like, I had a week off work. With the 12-hour shifts, I took off 3 days, so I had a whole week. But then Heather got sick, so ended up doing a bunch of stuff for her instead. A bunch of nonsense like that happened instead of me getting stuff done I wanted to. So, but still not a bad week to have off. It's always good if you're not working.
Yep, that's true.
Started messing with my shelves a little bit, trying to clean things up, but it's a never-ending battle because I keep buying more stuff than I have space for.
Yeah, this coming from the guy who tells me every week, yeah, I'm not gonna buy anything for a few weeks.
Right?
Gary, it remind you of anybody you know?
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, I gotta, just slow down a little bit. I gotta slow down a little bit.
Right.
That's what I hear.
I'm not buying anything for the month of August. End of August, the bill comes and it's like $3,000. It's like, well, nobody asked me how my weekend was, so I'm not really-
Hey, whoa,
No
whoa! You
one,
didn't.
no one cares.
I'm just saying, but my weekend was okay. It was just okay. You know, I really didn't do it. I didn't do much. I visited some family. I don't want to bring anybody down, but we had one of our pets pass away, so it was kind of weird. But we're trying to stay upbeat at the same time. So, for the most part, that's it. I mean, let's talk toys now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So guys, obviously we have Erik here for a reason. So I'm sure
Mhm.
everybody has a bunch of questions they want to ask him, and so whoever wants to go first, go right ahead. If not, I'll go.
And
You go
I
first.
may or may not answer the questions. We'll see.
All right. So my question is actually not too Mythic related. So I
Okay.
know we're gonna deep dive into that, but
That's
I
fine.
wanted to ask you. Both me and Alex actually were talking this week, and we have a similar question. So he might word it different, but we're both big Mezco fans too. So we know you are. So I wanted to ask you, how you felt about that line, and do you ever kind of like cross-reference it with your own, or want to do something similar? Because I noticed you guys are doing some soft goods and on some of your product, but you ever thought about doing more or adding more to it?
Well, I don't think that Mythic Legions is the line that we would want to do a lot of soft goods on. You know, some stuff like some capes, some skirts, some robes, things like that. But we're doing a lot of work for Super 7 right now where, some soft goods are going to come into play. I mean, you saw the Mumra robe, and there's some other stuff that I can't really discuss that we're working on for them right now that actually C. Jessam is doing some prototype soft good stuff for us now. So I don't think it'll really play into it too much with Mythic Legions. There's a property that we want to do later on down the road that it might play into that a little bit more. But definitely some we're gonna eventually do magic users and wizards and stuff. So we're gonna need robes. We always do capes with characters, skirts or loincloths, things like that. It'd be nice to at least make the cloth version of it, and then like as far as a loincloth goes, if you're a collector that would rather have a plastic or rubber loincloth rather than the cloth one, you're going to have that option. And if you want like a cloth loincloth because you can make the characters ride on a horse easier or something like
There
that,
you go.
then you're going to have that option too. We're trying to figure out how to include both into the characters that we're going to add soft goods into, but yeah, not a ton of that. We do like the idea of soft goods, but Mythic Legions really isn't the line we're going to be incorporating into that much. As far as Mezco goes, it's a sickness. I collected Mego 8-inch action figures when I was a kid. And they were, the 8-inch
Right.
figures, fully clothed and everything. For those of you that don't know, they were very much like Mezco 1/12 collective figures, but they were made in the 70s. So the quality was not always all that great. They were super cool to me because I was a kid, but the Mezco figures now, the 1/12 collective figures, to me, they're what I always imagined those 8-inch Mego action figures to be. Like in my head, what Mezco is doing with those figures now is what was happening with those figures in the 80s. So those coming back with just beautiful soft goods and great articulation for the most part. I don't have as much of a problem with not having double elbows as a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
and then the beautifully sculpted heads and stuff. I mean, I'm just I've never been a completist on any action figure line ever, and I've collected a lot of action figures over the years, and I've usually only picked up the ones that I really like, and never been a completist of any line. I can't help myself. I'm not only a completist on this line, but I've bought doubles of some of the characters, and I've actually started taking like Marvel Legends figures and kind of customizing them a little bit to become more 1/12 collective style figures. It's crazy. I've never been like this with an action figure line before.
Wow.
So kudos to Mezco for that, because they really changed my opinion. And that's just about the only thing I collect right now. Maybe some SH Monster Arts and a couple other things here and there. But really avidly, the only thing I collect is 1/12 collective now.
Wow.
It's funny for you to mention Mezco as being I guess, how you imagine Migos of the past. A lot of us here in the realm and here on the panel, we collect Transformers, and they have a masterpiece line and that's how we see this masterpiece line as basically how we imagined our old 1980s toys. You know, I never heard it mentioned that way before. That's really, really cool.
My business partner Erik Treadway has been collecting some of that masterpiece stuff and even some of the third party stuff. And he's like, "This is the stuff. When I had Transformers as a kid, this is what I thought it looked like in my head, and now it's actually looks that way." And he collects all that stuff as well.
It's funny to hear you say how you kind of like kit bash your Marvel Legends, like to go along with your Mezco 112 stuff. I do the same for your Mythic Legion stuff. Like I'll kit bash. I'll take a head off of a Mythic Legion. I'm not a Mythic Legion, but if it's like a standard armored character, I'll take the head off and then pop a Marvel Legend head on it or something, just to try to diversify my collection a bit. So it's funny to hear you say that. Meanwhile, your stuff is the stuff I'm doing that with. But
I've seen people doing that, and I've seen them take heads from like wrestlers or other characters and pop them on a Mythic Legions figure, so they're like the unhelmeted characters. And then they hold the head that came with it, so it looks like he's holding his helmet in his arm or whatever. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I think Chris was saying that he just did that this weekend when you guys were there, right?
Yeah. He was saying about you delving into, because you're just recently kind of getting into the whole mix and match and pieces.
Yeah, the tinkering of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Chris started doing it a little bit. He tore a couple figures apart and made new characters up.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I've been trying to explain this to you the whole time.
I know. Trust me. I got the whole pull apart the arms thing and all that, but now I'm like, wait a minute. I got 3 or 4 of this character already. Like, I need to diversify more. So now it's buying the head sculpts, and I even, what's something that I do that's pretty funny is I take my kids' crayons. I took a white crayon to do the war paint, because I didn't want to mess it up with real paint. You know what I'm saying? So I took the crayon and did it on a few characters' faces, and it works. It works like how I wanted to get it. And if I didn't like it, I could just wash it right off. So
that's not a terrible
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used makeup before. Like Heather's got a bunch of makeup, and I use that, and it looks perfect for facial bruising and war paint, because you can get a nice texture.
Jeez, it's bad enough I go and I'm looking for clear nail polish when I go.
We're all going to be hitting up Sephora and Ulta.
I'm going to go to Walgreens and be like, I want to customize this figure. What do you recommend?
Is that to use to tighten up the ankle joints?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. I've recently started buying Purell hand sanitizer because on the 1/12 collective figures, where they do that vinyl print on there, you get a Q-tip and you rub a little bit of that on there, and you can actually peel that off of there.
Oh wow!
And so for the Hela figure, I bought 2 of her, one to be Hela, and the other one to turn into a female Green Lantern. And I'm removing some of the stuff off of her, so it looks a little different than the Hela figure.
Nice.
So doing the same thing, why are you buying so much Purell? Because I'm a geek. That's why. It's not cleanliness.
I'm a geek. I'm not a germaphobe.
Yeah, exactly.
I really wish I would have jumped on the Mezcos earlier, because those Gomez figures, I'm in love with those things. They're so great.
Oh, I love them. I just got the 2 shadow versions.
Nice.
I think I got the white one last week. Oh God, they're so
That's
beautiful.
how you know you're in deep if you're spending that kind of money on them.
I think that they'll probably re-release those. I can't imagine them not going to re-release those 2 in some way, shape, or form. But I love them. The like the black one with the red head. That's my 2 favorite colors. I'm just in love with it.
Yeah, that's a great figure. I'm crossing my fingers. I hope they re-release some of those, man.
I think they will.
Cool.
I mean, we don't have a whole lot of Mezcos. We have some.
No, but
I mean, Judge Dredd is one of my favorite ones, so of course we got to have that in the Lawmaster and
Popeye.
We got Popeye. Yeah, that was definitely had to have that one. Ronin.
I just pulled out my evil judges from 3A.
I just recently saw somebody like Chris and I were talking about those, and I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah,
And then
they're
like
beautiful.
him and I were talking about them, and like somehow they just started showing up in my Instagram feed, and I'm like, here they are. We were just talking about these damn things. Like, these are awesome.
Yeah, it's Judge Death, Judge Mortis, and Judge Fear.
Yep.
And they haven't done I don't remember what the name of the one that's on fire is. They haven't done him. And I don't think they will now. 3A is not a company now. They're done.
Yeah.
Those are great figures.
Wow.
What were the ones that I got for you?
Those were the Marvel. What the hell are those called? It's like something Heroes.
I don't remember.
Yeah, they're like those are the. Oh no! You got me
I got you the case of this. Yeah, I got you the.
What the hell? Was it?
2080 comic.
Yeah, I don't remember what
I don't remember the
the company that made them. I don't remember.
They're the 2000 AD figures.
Yeah.
3A was doing some for a while, but I don't think it was that many of them.
No, this was like there's what, like 6 of them?
Oh.
Yeah, they were a case. It was like the shipping crate, shipping box all came together. But the lady who had them, I bought them from a lady in England.
Oh wow!
And they were all signed.
Yeah.
By who?
The artists.
Oh, the comic artists that did them. Oh, that's cool.
Let's see if I can find them.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool find. I was pretty excited about it. Now I can't remember what the company name is. Was it 3A? I think it.
No.
Are you sure?
Go get it.
You want me to go get one?
Yeah, go get it.
I'll get
That's
one.
a good thing about having 2 of you on.
True. I'll find it when she gets back down here, or maybe not. I know it was something that wasn't really
So
readily available.
I was gonna tell Erik, we have our other panel member who's not here today, Dom, who's a huge Mezco fan, as well as Chris, who you might know him from Crashbox Customs.
Yeah.
They're huge Mezco fans, and they are completionists too. And I'm just like in wow of their collections, because like I probably have a good like 30 to 40 Mezcos, but I don't have anywhere near what they got. They're like upwards of like 80 something or something like that. Is that somewhere where you're at too? Like in the probably in the hundreds, right?
The only thing I'm missing is a couple of the Batman Dark Knight variants, and I've got the 2 that I really want, so I won't collect those. I have all the Punisher variants. I have them all. Plus, I have a bunch of doubles, so I'm gonna have to count them at some point.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I know some of those are really hard to get. They're like, you know.
I like that. Like I went to Toy Fair. I don't remember what year it was, but it was the year that they were giving away the Spock figure. And I had a friend that worked there, Pierre. He worked at Mezco, and I was walking down there. I was like, "Wow, these 1/12 collective figures are beautiful." And I hadn't even paid any attention to them.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, we're giving away this one." He handed me the Spock. I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, I remember those." 2000.
Reaction Figure is the company.
Wow, that's great packaging too.
Yeah.
Nice grab.
They're all signed.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah. And
Judge Death.
Wow.
Nice.
Those are super cool. She's a keeper, dude.
Oh, absolutely.
And then there were 3 others that came in package, like in a shipper box.
Oh, was his name Slane or something?
Yeah.
Super cool.
That one.
Oh, I don't know what her name is. I remember seeing her.
Durham Red.
Durham Red.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing the figure, but I don't remember her name.
Johnny Alpha.
Strontium Dog. Is that who that is?
It's Johnny Alpha.
Oh, Johnny Alpha. Oh, Strontium Dog was a character that looked a lot like that. It has, like, look it up sometime. It has like the same style helmet and stuff like that.
It's from that comic, though.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has, like, the name behind it.
All right.
Yeah, those are.
So I wasn't
they were
too
fun.
far off.
And they're all signed. Like this one's John Wagner, Carlos Esquera.
Wow.
Mark Harrison.
They're all just the artists that were involved in the comics.
Yeah.
But it was a fun find. These freaking fart ninjas. Jeez. Sorry.
Dave Bishop. They're sitting right next to us and they keep going off.
I have no idea what a fart ninja is.
Oh,
This is a fart ninja. I was walking through the toy section at Target. They're motion activated.
That's good stuff.
And they just keep going off because like it's the light. So every time like a shadow goes, it's like when you go to the bathroom and it automatic flushes. It's the same thing. But you can hide them everywhere because they're anyway, sorry. I'm distracting. Go on. Something.
We used to have a remote control fart machine at the old McFarlane Toys that we used to mess with people a lot. So don't feel bad.
I want one of those. How do I get one of those?
I have no idea now. I haven't seen one in years.
I love farts. They're the funniest things in the world. They really are. If you can't laugh at a fart, you're too grown up for me.
All right. Chan, next sleepover, then we're just gonna go at it. All right. Fart wars today.
Yeah.
no wonder you guys get burritos 3 times a week.
Hell yeah. I got to keep this woman happy.
Keeps me laughing, that's for sure. It's the smell of the dog farts that get me. I can't handle it. That's worth it. They're bad, man. I'll have to leave a room sometimes. Anyway.
Does anybody have any other questions for Erik?
Well, I know Erik, you just touched on McFarlane Toys. Dust, the godfather of the realm, wanted to know if there were any funny stories that stood out.
Working with Todd.
Working for McFarlane.
Yeah, I mean, she just said working with Todd. We didn't actually all that often work directly with Todd. It was a lot of us doing designs and sculpting and stuff, and then him coming in and like making changes via fax machine and via phone and stuff, because there was nothing, there was no internet. There was a very, very tiny bit of internet, but it was really primitive at the time. So he would come in and make changes and stuff like that. Or if he had a character that he was just hell bent on us doing, then he'd let us know and he'd send sketches over and we would do it. But one of the stories, which was really cool, is the Spawn playset. And I might have told this before. The Spawn Alley playset.
Mm-hmm.
I was working with a guy there named Tony, and Tony was doing a lot of the detail work on that Spawn playset when we were doing the prototype for it. And he was trying to get a cool, like, cracked up concrete looking wall. And this guy would use anything to fabricate a play set or a toy or whatever. He used to tear apart model kits and use parts out of there. When he was done, you wouldn't recognize the parts he used at all because he was really fantastic at what he did. But this day, I looked over and he was gluing these little chunks onto this play set. And I looked at him and I was like, what is that? And he pointed to the floor. He had dropped some corn chips on the floor and stepped on them. And was picking up chunks of corn chips and gluing them to this thing to make the prototype with all this cracked concrete and stuff. And it looked ridiculous as he was doing it. But once it was cast and it was all in one color, it was beautiful. So if you pick up the Spawn Alley playset, look for corn chips on the wall.
Yeah. Wow.
Gotta love those corn chips.
Wow.
That was good times, though. We had Jim and Erik and I all worked there together, and we had a blast there. There was a time, same guy, Tony. It was originally, McFarlane Toys was originally called AEB Studios, which is Anthony E. Bellato Studios. That's Tony. And then they partnered up with Todd, and it became Todd Toys AEB, and then it just became McFarlane Toys AEB, and then eventually just McFarlane Toys. But Tony was still like the head guy there. So he was like our boss, but he would come in and like one day he came in with a crossbow And it was just, we were shooting, like standing at one end of the studio and shooting stuff at the other end of the studio. Like, what boss brings in a crossbow and lets you shoot it in their studio? We played around a lot. We got a lot of work done too, and Erik and I at least spent a lot of like late nights, and there were times when Erik and I spent 2 or 3 days at a time at McFarlane Toys. We had a pillow and blanket stash there in case we just couldn't make it and we had to crash out. Like before Toy Fair, it was insanely busy, and we spent days on end there without going home. Good times though.
It sounds like it.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Until it wasn't.
Well, that's
Wow.
yeah, that's how it works.
So, and I guess from well, I guess it would have been a little bit later, but like, I think Dave, you're probably gonna ask this at some point, like how you guys made the jump on your own, like what kind of prompted that, and
Well,
how did that, you know, I don't know, how did it affect any other relationships, I guess.
Well, at that time, McFarlane Toys, they were moving more into more statuesque figures, and they were starting to do sports figures and military figures and things like that, and just stuff that we weren't really into as a group. We wanted to make action figures that were playable, action figures with articulation, action figures that were fun. None of us were really sports fans, not to knock sports fans,
Right.
but none of us were really sports fans at the time. None of us were really all that interested in sculpting or fabricating military stuff. And we had decided, it's time for us to just kind of move on and try our own thing. We thought we had gained enough knowledge working at McFarlane Toys. It was a tremendous learning experience there that maybe we should try to do something ourselves. And the day after we left McFarlane Toys, we flew out to California to meet with some guys at Mattel. We had set it up previously. We knew we were going to be leaving. We had given them our notice, and we were leaving as a group. And when we went out to Mattel, we wanted to impress them. We brought a bunch of cool prototypes with us and a lot of stuff to show off and really impress them with what we could do. And we went out there dressed in like full suit and ties, carrying briefcases and stuff. And as we were walking through the parking lot at Mattel, there's guys standing out on the docks, like having a lunch break or whatever. And a lot of them are like in shorts and just T-shirts, and we were way overdressed. We looked like the mafia walking through the place.
Nice.
And we were a little bit embarrassed, but you know what? I guess we made a good impression. We got in there and we showed them the stuff that we had worked on, and we talked to them for a long time about the kind of projects that they would want to do and the kind of stuff that we wanted to do. And we said, the biggest thing that we want to do is we want to revamp and relaunch He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And they just said, you know what, that's exactly what we were thinking. They had just somehow come to a point at the time that we were ready that they wanted to have an outside team where they didn't feel like that they had to lord over the whole time and babysit and walk them through the thing. They wanted a team that they could just hand stuff off to and have them come back with the final product. They would come in and, make some alterations here and there. We want this altered, with that changed. But for the most part, they just let us take the ball and run with it. I mean, it was amazing being able to play in that sandbox early on, because it was something that other companies had not done before. I mean, they farm out work to various freelance sculptors and designers and things like that. But they had never, especially a company as large as Mattel, had never just taken that leap and let a toy design group completely from beginning to end design, sculpt, fabricate, and do paint masters and everything for, what was essentially their baby. Masters of the Universe was their baby. And, they allowed us to do that. Obviously, we're like kids in a candy store. We were so excited. We were all fans of Masters of the Universe when we were younger, especially Erik. So getting to be involved in that was it was a blessing. It was a dream come true. Erik, actually, I was saying something about him being a fan. That kid used to lay underneath his mom and dad's coffee table and on the bottom of the coffee table, his mom still had the coffee table, and you could flip it over, and there's all kinds of drawings of He-Man characters and DC Comics Batman characters and stuff all over the bottom of that coffee table, and she kept it just because of that. So
That's cool.
he was a huge fan from early on, and I guess it was just destiny for him to get into doing what he ended up doing. So with me, it was just pure dumb luck.
I think that line hit San Diego, right? Like in 2008 was the first figure. So how soon before that happened were you guys actually working on that line?
No, you're talking about the Masters of the Universe Classics, right?
Yeah. That's
before that, we did a line of Masters of the Universe figures they call it the 2000X line.
The X ones, right? Okay, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, that was, I think it launched I think we showed it off in like 99 or 2000, and it actually launched in 2001. And yeah, it was at San Diego Comic-Con, and that was another new thing too. They had that following year, or maybe it was that first year they debuted it, whenever it was, they had a He-Man statue, an exclusive that you could only get there for sale at Mattel's booth, and exclusives weren't a thing at San Diego Comic-Con yet. And we were flabbergasted because the line of people to get that thing went around the booth. This huge Mattel booth went around the booth 3 times.
Wow.
And the people at Comic-Con didn't know how to handle that. It's something that they hadn't seen before. Mm-hmm. The next year, they had a special He-Man figure, and I think really the only thing that was special about that figure, I think the sword was chromed, and some of the paints were a little different from the original release. And it was another San Diego exclusive, and things were so crazy that a girl actually got knocked over and hurt, and she was trampled on. People trying to get that thing, and that was the catalyst and what began San Diego Comic-Con changing the way that they handle exclusives and having people do the raffles and all that kind of thing. It was ugly, but I mean, it was amazing that happened at that time. That there was, I mean, just thinking back, I can't even imagine that there was a time that exclusives were not the reason that you went to a comic convention. Mm-hmm. And now that's why everybody goes.
Yep. It's funny. I was at New York Comic-Con, so I got to actually be a little behind the scenes. I got to work there for the 2 days prior. Mm-hmm. So, I got to see everything at my own pace while it was getting put together, which was nice. The next day at the con, I was there early because, you're early and, you're allowed there early. You see the floods of people come in. It's like a movie. It's like a horror movie almost. Like, when you have like the dead coming.
Yeah, and people are running from it.
The rush of people. I was literally at the Storm Collectibles line, calling a buddy, asking him if he wanted anything. At that point, I was the only person online.
Wow.
He was like, no, I don't know what I want. I'll let you know later. I said, okay, cool. Walked away. Within 10 minutes, there was a line, like you said, like wrapped around the entire booth. So it's funny that you say that SDCC, that they kind of regulate their lines. That New York Comic-Con, I didn't see any kind of regulation there. It was just, people forming their own lines, kind of.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was
strange.
like, it depending on who was the vendor selling the product there. I mean, they had people working the line, but some of them didn't, and it was just lines going right into like the center where everybody else would be walking to. There was people actually just standing, and they're like, "What are we waiting for?" And I'm like, "You're online for a figure," and they're like, "Oh no, we're not," and then they would keep walking. They had no idea what they were online for.
I've accidentally done that before. I get that. At San Diego now, like even like the Hasbro booth, they have their exclusives every year, and a bunch of people are after them. A friend of ours that we sometimes share a booth with used to be Action Figure Express, and now it's Icon Heroes. His booth is always right behind the Hasbro booth. And in the morning, they won't let people line up at the Hasbro booth to get those exclusives. So what happens is we're at the booth in the morning before the Hasbro booth opens up and it starts allowing people to come into the line. And it looks like Icon Heroes is just getting this tremendous amount of traffic. We're like, wow, what have you got that you're selling that's so popular? And as soon as that booth opens at Hasbro, they're gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Wow.
It's just, they just disappear. They're like heading straight over there to get in the line. And And they know that they're not allowed to get in line first. And I guess the people at San Diego Comic-Con have it set up that way, so they don't have the kind of issues that they had early on.
Yeah, we got a Chuck in the chat said that Entertainment Earth had a raffle going, which is probably a smart idea.
Yeah, that's a
It
good
is
way
a
to do it
smart
too.
idea.
Yeah. I think part of the allure though with some of the companies is just like let it sell out. Let it be, let it go. Let them talk about that they couldn't get the exclusive because that's what we want,
Yeah,
so.
it definitely is. I mean, and it's not so much with us because we want everybody to be able to get their hands on everything that we do. That's why we don't do exclusives at conventions. We don't do exclusives with other companies. What we'll do at conventions, we'll do debut figures. Like that's the first place that you can get them, maybe months ahead of even when you pre-order it.
Right.
But at least when you pre-order it, you're certain that you're going to get that figure. It may come in a couple of months after the debut figure, but you're going to get it. But the people who go for debut figures, like at PowerCon this year, there was this huge line of people that went, around the back of the building and out into the hallway, and maybe only half of those people got the exclusive on Saturday. And we had to only sell half of them on Saturday because we knew people were going to want to come in on Sunday and get them as well. So we sold the other half on Sunday, and it was the same thing. Only like half of those people got those. And we feel bad, but, either they had the chance to pre-order them, so hopefully they did that and they were actually going to get the figure, or we do in-stock sales later on, and we're trying to make it so those in-stock sales are a little easier than they were early on.
Right.
And so they'll have another chance to get those figures as well. But yeah, I get the allure of wanting the figures to sell out quickly so they seem like, oh my gosh, I got to have that. And it builds that fever for people to want to jump on as soon as they see it and get it. You want to make sure that your product sells out, because if you don't, you're stuck with stuff in the warehouse. You have to pay for warehouse space. People think, oh, you should hold on to that those figures for years, but you can't, because warehouse space isn't free. So at a certain point, a figure that you have sitting in the warehouse, you begin losing money on. You begin paying for that figure, and if somebody buys it, it might break you even for the storage dollars you had to spend on it, but might not either. So getting your figures to sell out is definitely the key. But I mean, as a collector myself, I mean, I want everybody to be able to get the figures that we make that wants them.
Yeah, I want those two figures myself. I just want to say it was the Purplor and the Cronjaw, right?
Chronon Purplor,
yeah. Yep.
Did you pre-order them?
I did. Yeah, I'll get them soon.
Did you see the announcement today?
Right
before you got on, or when you told us to check it. Yeah.
Should we check it out?
Oh wow! You can pop that up. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, the Mythic Legions Siege at Bjorngar just shipped out from the factory. I think on the 4th or 5th. I was actually going to put this announcement up this past Friday, but I was swamped with work, so I didn't get to do it until today. But it shipped, I think, on the 4th, so it's been on the water for about a week and a half, maybe. So it should only be like another 2 or 3 weeks before it arrives at the U.S. ports. And it's about a month later than we were expecting it to ship, but there were some issues with packaging and stuff that weren't quite there that we had to make sure. The Ogre packaging, the boxes, there are a couple of little tweaks we needed to make on that to make sure that it's up to snuff before we shipped it. So that shipped, so we should be seeing that at the docks in a few weeks. And then as soon as Megalopolis gets their hands on it, they'll start shipping it out for us, and it'll go out to all the pre-order guys first. Then it'll ship out to the retailers who joined in and purchased them. And then at some point, we don't know when yet, and keep an eye on sourcehorseman.com, but we'll make the announcement that we'll do an in-stock sale for all those characters.
That's awesome.
I'm very excited. Mythic Legions Wasteland, right now it looks like it's going to ship out right around the beginning of November. So another month, and that one's going to, actually half a month from now or a little more, that wave's going to ship out from the factory to our Megalopolis warehouse too. So you guys are going to get pretty quick succession of both of those waves, and then a little bit of a wait unless we for Arethyr, unless we throw together an All-Stars wave, which maybe.
I'm not even done opening my Aven of Decay stuff yet. I'm looking around saying, what am I doing? I need to de-shelve some of this stuff over here and get.
Well, that was a 44-figure wave, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Dave, I haven't opened mine yet either.
We won't be doing waves that large again, I don't think. I mean, unless it's another, like if we do what we're currently referring to as Galactic Legions. We might do a Kickstarter with that and make big waves just to start with, but we'll see.
Are you going to be doing that for sure? Or
the Galactic Legions?
Yeah.
We may not call it Galactic Legions because Erik just spent some time. When we were out in California at PowerCon, Erik spent some time at Disney, and also spent some time at the Star Wars park.
Galaxy's
there.
Edge.
Yeah, Galaxy's Edge. There's a lot of things that were titled Galaxy or Galactic, so I think we're going to alter that title a little bit. But yeah, we're definitely doing that.
That's sweet.
It's going to be I guess outer space, for lack of a better term, version of Mythic Legions. We do have plans to do other legions in the future too. But right now, Mythic Legions is just growing so rapidly in popularity that we haven't had a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. We were actually planning to launch the pre-order for Galactic Legions back in the spring, and we just haven't had the time to do it.
Yeah, take your time, man. I need some money to recoup over here. Gary, I think you kind of you kind of deep delved into the MOTU stuff pretty hard, right? When you were younger, well, a few years back, I should say.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a little jab there. No, I did do the I remember the 2000X series and liking that type of proportions, and then I did the classics really hard with the subscription service for a long time. But yeah, we have a lot of debates in our groups between the different body styles of the characters and who prefers what. So apparently I go for the barbarian bodies. I don't know what that says, but
Gary only has shirtless characters.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Hot, sweaty men.
Yeah, muscles. No. But I was curious. So, other than the Migos, Erik, was there is there a nostalgic line from from being a kid? Because we often talk about that too, like the lines we'd like to see remade or modernized, for that interpretation. Was there any other lines that you really enjoyed or had access to?
Yeah, the one other big one for me was Micronauts. When I was a kid, Micronauts was almost everything to me. And then recently, in the past 20 years or so, Takara released Microman figures, and it was just some beautiful figures. And I have all those, and I have them put away. I'm hoping to get them out sometime again, but I don't know when that'll be. I'm still trying to set up shelves for my Mezco 1/12 collective stuff, and haven't gotten that done yet. But that was huge for me. Those are really the only two big lines. Like I said, I've never been really a completist. I just collect a lot of different stuff. Whenever I see something that I like, then I would just grab it.
I very personally appreciate that perspective. So I often get criticized because I pick and choose characters, for myself. And as you can see, there's a lot of people that like to collect a lot on our panel here. So they like to go for the whole line. So nothing wrong with that either. But
I was a huge comics fan too, and Fantastic Four was always it for me. And I just, anytime a toy line came out that had any of the characters for the Fantastic Four in it, even if it wasn't all four of them, which used to drive me crazy, that they would only release one or two and then just move on, I would pick up characters from the Fantastic Four. And to this day, I still, that most recent Thing figure, a lot of people think it's beautiful, but my goodness. There's just so much I would have rather done differently on that figure, but yeah, that's if I see Fantastic Four figures, if they're well done, then I usually pick those up as well.
It's funny that you bring up the Thing figure, because I seen somebody put on the little blue panties on him, and they were like, "Oh, look, he's Mezco-esque now." That's all they did. I'm like,
hey, I did the same thing.
I know you.
My thing is wearing little blue panties right now.
That's awesome.
That is
So kind of jumping off of that, how would the Fantastic Four look in Mythic Legions?
Ooh,
Like if you did an homage to them or like Batman, because I think those are characters that fit into any kind of environment. Like the Fantastic Four you can see in any universe. Batman, you see that kind of character there. Do you ever think about doing anything like that for Mythic Legions?
we already have.
Yeah.
Brontus the
Right.
Arena Troll is the thing.
Oh.
I actually, the one that I have at home, I haven't gotten to do it yet, but I want to tear his loincloth off and paint the little
Blue.
loincloth underneath. I want to paint it blue.
Great
Because
idea.
when Erik sculpted that figure, he knows that like I'm a huge Cyclops fan, I'm a huge Gorillas fan, I'm a huge Thing fan, and he just kind of mixed that all into that one troll, and that's like my favorite figure of the whole line.
It's super
It's the
sweet.
only
So yeah, we
troll
already
I'm
did a
missing.
little bit of an homage to the Fantastic Four.
Oh.
That's the only troll I'm missing, Erik. By the way.
Really?
All right.
Yeah, I have all the other ones except for
That's
that one.
probably the easiest one to get, and I don't know how many we still have left in the warehouse, but I don't think that that's sold out, so it may go back up on Store Horseman at some point.
Oh,
Wait, which one?
Brontus, the Arena Troll, the big orange one.
yeah.
Cyclops.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But the Ice Troll, we blew out of that guy.
Okay.
That was the most popular of all the trolls so far. It was crazy, the sales on that thing.
I like
Oh,
the
yeah.
forest troll.
Yeah.
I like them all.
It's
I
big
just,
Yeah.
like, it's so hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, the forest troll is awesome. He's got like earwax and shit. It's great. So
Gross.
great.
He's
It's so
Those
gross.
trolls all have fingerprints too.
Yeah,
Did you see
they
that?
all-
You can actually see the fingerprints on them.
Yeah.
The paint kind of obscures it a little bit, but they all have fingerprints sculpted in.
You can definitely see it.
so
Yeah.
beautiful. Just like the sculpt, you guys do such an amazing job on everything. I
Thanks.
drool over all of it.
Thank
We're-
you. I
we're
appreciate
only-
that.
We're only missing like, let me pull my. I think it was 7 figures
Wow.
out
I
of the
just
whole
saw
entire
like 6
line.
people pop up on the
Yeah.
messenger here saying, I need Brontus too.
Brontus.
Yeah, man. It's those early ones we all slept on.
You know, and that's something I wanted to bring up to Erik. I mean, no disrespect, of course, we're huge fans now, but
course.
we've seen you at ToyCon for probably a good 3 years now,
Mhm.
maybe 2 years is probably fair. And our first ToyCon or 2, we saw you guys there, and you guys you had the birds at the
The
time,
birds.
Yeah.
and a few mythics. Like I think it was maybe that the All-Star wave that was still left over.
Yeah.
And a few of the guys here, well, JD probably was the first one to get one. I think Brian and Gary each got one, and
Yep.
Dom, who's not here, bought. I didn't buy them yet, but it wasn't until we brought them back until Buddy's apartment, Dust, and they were playing with the figures that I was like, holy shit, these are so cool.
Mm.
I can't wait to get them. So it wasn't until then that we started really like talking about Mythic and getting them, and then after that, every show we were like the first 2 or 3 people online, right behind Mr. Patrick Dix, of course. He's
Yeah.
always
Right.
first.
Yes.
Um,
he is.
But right
Yeah.
after Pat, it's usually one of us like holding the
Wow.
line for the other ones and stuff. But
Nice.
Yeah.
I slapped myself in the face because you guys had that Brontus troll there.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
like
that
a
was-
show or 2 after, and I kept saying, "I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it."
Yeah, 'cause
And
we
no,
jumped.
The
no.
thing is, when we sold the Brontus the Arena Troll at the ToyCon New Jersey,
Yep.
We sold maybe 12 of them. We had like, I don't know, 6 or 7 left over. They sold okay, but they didn't blow out. The next year when we brought the Ice Troll, we brought like a dozen, blew out of them in like an hour.
Yeah, we saw.
Mikey ran back to the
Yeah.
warehouse to get more and brought some more back that day, and then went again and brought more back for Sunday. We couldn't keep them in stock; they just blew out. I think we ended up selling like 40 of them at that show that weekend.
Yeah, we took about a half a dozen of those.
Yeah.
Well, it was nice. You guys, you guys knew that you're going back for more, so you actually like were writing down our names and stuff.
Oh right, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I'm not that nice. That was Mike doing that. I would have said, sorry, dude. Not writing names. Just be here.
Come back for it.
Erik, I had a question for you.
All right.
So you dabble in an industry that I am very unfamiliar with, and I was kind of curious if you could tell us what is it like? What's a day in the life of a toy sculptor like?
Well, it used to be much different than it is now. Like I mostly fabricated things, like any of the accessories, the articulation, like any like mechanical things, like the 2000X trap jaw, that big gigantic arm that he has, and all those accessories. I did all that, and it's all done. It was all done by hand, and all of our sculpting was wax based, and it was done by hand and everything. And then we'd go through the silicone molding and urethane casting process. I mean, it's a very labor intensive process, but it's still, you still enjoyed it because, you were getting to express some of your artistic vision. Now I haven't fabricated anything in probably a year, haven't really sculpted anything, at least for Four Horsemen toy design. Now I pretty much design stuff, send it out to sculptors, digital sculptors, have them sculpt it, and then I'll project manage the projects, and then make little tiny tweaks and changes, and then send it back. With some sculptors, I found it might be easier for me to just go ahead and jump into ZBrush and make some of those minor changes myself, and then have them get onto another project. But at this point, I mean, I'm mostly doing not product management, but sculpting management and keeping people, on the right track, knowing what they're sculpting and everything. But it's when you do digital sculpting, it's a lot different than traditional sculpting, because say you sculpt a head in wax or clay and it's too large for the body. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't just shrink it. I mean, there's products out there that you can mold and pour this stuff in and it'll shrink it down somewhat, but it's not an exact science. It's kind of hard to do that. Or if the head's too small and you need to make it too big, make it bigger, you can't really expand it to the exact amount that you need to all that easily. It's almost a complete resculpt. But now with digital, you have a character where you print it out and the head's too small. You just say, hey, bump that up like 10%. And boop, they bump it up 10%, print it out again. It's so much faster. It's so much easier. It's so much more... it's just a better way of doing things.
Wow.
It's much more cost effective than it was.
So everything's sculpted digitally. That's kind of cool.
We fought that tooth and nail. Like we were like, we don't need to sculpt digitally. We're sculptors. We're fabricators. We really did fight it. And then a few years ago, and a lot of the digital sculpting that I had seen up to that point was very lifeless and just stiff and boring and stuff. But the people who sculpted traditionally had a lot of like flow and life and everything to their sculptures. So Erik Treadway picked up ZBrush and a stylus and everything and started like messing around with ZBrush. And Erik's sculptures, he's like, I'm a comic book fan too, and I can look at comic book art and I can tell, as I'm sure many of you can, what artist drew that comic. Well, with Erik's sculptures, I could look at his sculptures as compared to somebody else's sculpture, and I could pick out his sculpture because I knew his style and I knew, the nuances of the sculptures that he did. And I thought that with him picking up ZBrush and sculpting things digitally, that was going to get lost. The first figure he did was for DC Universe Classics, fully digitally, and it was a Supergirl figure. I think, was it Supergirl? I'm pretty sure it was Supergirl.
There you go, Brain.
Whatever. It was a female. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. And as soon as I saw it on the screen, I was like, that's still an Erik Treadway sculpture. It was beautiful. It's like he picked it up and just ran with it and knew what he was doing instantly. And everything we do, probably 99% of everything we do is digital now. The only thing that we still do traditionally is the paint masters.
Nice.
If there's like right now we're doing Thundercats for Super 7. So a lot of the old molds to make paint masters, a lot of the old silicone molds are starting to go bad. So we're starting to take those like castings and then putting them in digitally and scanning them to get them into the computer before the molds completely deteriorate. So we're going back and forth with a little bit of sculpting and a little bit of digital with that. And that's kind of a hard thing to do, but that's just about the only traditional sculpting that we do anymore.
That's really incredible because, you know, I'm looking at the Fury Orc here, and I mean, it looks like it has a patina on them, but I guess you can do all of that digitally, right? And when I mean
As far as
patina,
the paints go,
not so much the paint, but there's little imperfections and cracks in the armor and things, and the legs aren't exactly a mirror of left and right. You know what I mean? That's really cool.
I think that's a 1.0 figure. Like with Mythic Legions, a lot of the first wave was actually sculpted traditionally.
Oh.
And then there was some parts from that wave that were done digitally and then went back and forth. But a lot of Wave 1 Mythic Legions were actually sculpted traditionally. That's about the time that we were transitioning over to digital. But now all of it's done digitally. And we don't like to, like a lot of digital sculptors they'll sculpt something and they'll use the mirror effect where it's sculpting the same thing on both sides, and both sides are exactly mirrors of each other. We don't like the idea of that. In real life, your own face isn't a mirror of the other side. You know, one side isn't a mirror of the other side. You have slight differences in each side of your face. So even if we do use that mirror effect to get a sculpture done quickly, we'll go to one side of it and slightly tweak things, slightly alter things to make it so it's not just a perfectly symmetrical figure every time.
That's why it looks like some of them are winking at me, right?
That might be bad paints in production. I'm not sure. Any googly-eyed ones?
So, you know, I'm a tattoo artist by profession, I guess you could say. But so I used to carry, you know, big things of pens and pencils and sketch pads and all that stuff with me, and then I went I do everything on an iPad now.
Yeah.
Do you miss it? Do you miss using your hands?
I still do a lot. If I do any drawing at all, I do it all traditionally. I don't draw on I don't draw digitally. I probably will at some point, but I don't yet. I haven't been doing a lot of drawing lately, other than designing Mythic Legions weapons. Yeah. But that I will probably never stop doing traditionally. But yeah, I do miss it. I do miss having my hands in the clay and like fabricating things from Ren and styrene and stuff. I do miss it a lot, and that's kind of why I was getting into customizing Mezco 112 figures a little bit, is because I can get back into that a little bit. Like if there's a belt that I want a character to have, I can sit down and fabricate it or sculpt things for that to make it my own. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a release there, but yeah, I do miss that a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
So yeah, like using the iPad, it's a lot quicker for me to work up pieces for people and all that kind of stuff. So I found myself during that transition, dabbling with foam and customizing figures, making dioramas. Yeah. And that's filled that void for me.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I still do kind of miss, you know, drawing traditionally, but
yeah,
I don't have to carry all that shit around with me anymore. You know?
Right. Well, I'm getting old, so the easier I can do it, the better.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but then sometimes he'll bust out a marker and just draw on you and then tattoo, and it's pretty phenomenal too.
Yeah, that's super cool.
No, it's
Oops.
Oh, he did that, but just by drawing it on your arm.
That is cool.
Wow. Yeah, hold it up a little.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. You see?
That's awesome. Crane.
Yeah.
It's upside down.
That's super cool. Upside down on purpose?
No, that's
so you can show everybody else.
It's upside down probably because I can't hold it right now. It's Krang. He's my favorite Ninja Turtle character.
Wow.
I have a problem.
Yeah, I guess I get my kicks out that way, though. I do draw a lot of stuff on people.
Yeah.
So.
Which in everything when he does anything, it turns out awesome. But,
so yeah, there's the marker drawing.
That's cool.
And then line work. Oops.
For anybody listening, he's showing pictures of his artwork right now.
Right.
Now, what type of pen did you use to draw that? The marker you mentioned. You didn't put it on there with Sharpie, did you?
Yeah, just Sharpie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Good old Sharpies.
All right.
Yeah, I should. Two things I should take stock in is Bounty paper towels and Sharpies.
Wow.
So.
Bounty paper towels for what? Mopping up blood?
Well, I mean that's cleaning up my workspace, so to speak. We go through a lot of paper towels.
Yeah. So. I should invest in Ziploc bags because all my figures are going into Ziploc bags when I don't have them on display.
Mm.
Oh. That's no fun. They need to be out where you can play with them.
I know. Eventually, I got to get it all set up first, though. I'm getting there.
Are you a Ninja Turtle fan?
I like the Ninja Turtles. I wouldn't call myself a Ninja Turtle fan, but like the ones that we did for NECA a few years ago, I love those figures. And I really wanted to own them, and I just never got them, so I don't have those. But yeah, I'm a Ninja Turtle fan. I like the characters, I like the designs and stuff, but I was never really a collector of Ninja Turtles, I guess you'd say. Have you seen the stuff that we're doing for Super 7, the Ninja Turtle stuff now?
Absolutely.
Based on the old Playmate toys.
Yeah, very cool.
We have a question from the chat. Someone wants to know if Erik Treadway did the sculpt for the new Super 7 Turtles.
Which ones? Let's see. There's the first wave is Raphael, Baxter Stockman,
Foot Soldier and
Splinter. He did Raphael and the Foot Soldier. We had other sculptors do Splinter and Baxter Stockman, and they knocked it out of the park. They're beautiful. They did a great job, and I was overseeing those to make sure that they were knocking them out of the park.
Nice.
Just wait until you see the second wave. There's a character in there that I love it. It's so beautifully done.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
We have some other questions from the chat. I've been keeping track of a few here. I was kind of curious. Are you allowed to divulge any information on future licenses you're going to be not or anything like that?
No.
Sorry, folks. That's half of them. No.
Well, we're not, actually we're not going to be picking up any licenses ourselves anymore. I mean, if you're asking about stuff that we are going to be working on for other companies, like the stuff we're doing for Mattel and Super 7, it's stuff that they've revealed. Then we can discuss that. But anything that they haven't revealed, or any lines that we're working on now that they haven't revealed yet, we're not allowed to discuss.
All righty. Nothing with vac metal birds or anything like that, right? just curious.
No.
Okay. So let's see. Somebody asked about are there going to be any figure stands with foot pegs for Mythic Legions in the future?
We've actually talked about that. Like, we did the Mythic Legions bases. They're large and cumbersome bases. When we designed that, we think, somebody will buy one and put it on this and sit it on their shelf. And now that people are buying, 150 of them, those things take up a lot of space. So yeah, I think with the next wave that we're going to be putting up for pre-order, I think we're also going to have new figure stands. Can't really say exactly what those are yet, but they're going to be like a combination of some stuff that you've seen before.
Okay.
Right.
We've got one here. So you had mentioned C. Jesum. He's actually in the chat today watching along.
Nice. What's up, CJ?
So we have something from Hefty here. Wants to know if we'd be getting any robed wizard characters. He needs a Gandalf. That's what he's saying.
Well, we won't be doing Gandalf, but yeah. One of the waves we have planned coming up is going to have some magic users / wizard characters in it, and we do plan to do robed, caped, hooded type characters. Some of them may have just the usual plastic/rubber type hood. Some of them might have the option of having a soft goods hood and stuff. But yeah, you will see some robed characters in the near future.
Someone was also curious about the Arethyr wave. They were kind of curious, were there any particular characters that went gangbusters with the pre-order?
Well, Arethyr himself was the biggest seller, and it just far and above outsold the other figures. People just loved it. The horses, we thought that they would do okay on sales. They did phenomenal. We're blown away at the sales on the horses. I mean, we're definitely doing more horses because people want them. Oh, and also we're going to get the first pre-tooling samples from the factory for the horses. I think not this coming week, but the following week we're supposed to get those, and we're actually going to finally get to play with it and look at all that stuff in person. What the tooling factory is doing on it. And so far from the photos we've seen, it's looking beautiful. We're doing something a little different with some of the articulation that I think people are going to like. And
awesome.
Yeah. The Arethyr was the one that did just gangbusters, as you put it. And even the wings and the hands and feet we thought would be, just kind of a so-so thing. But I guess people are really into getting into customizing their Mythic Legions figures. So we did really well on those too.
Nice.
Here's a question I bet everybody would love answering.
Hold on, Brian. So, do you guys have any plans on beasts other than horses?
Yes, JD beat me to it.
I was thinking of that too,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since the horses did so well, and I mean, if you're a real Mythic Legions fan, you know that the noble bear rides a bear.
Yes.
So we got to do a bear.
Yeah.
That's got to come at some point. So yeah, we're definitely going to do other beasts. And I've said it so many times. My dream with Mythic Legions is for us to finally do a gigantic dragon.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
Mattel's knocking it out of the park with those huge dinosaur figures. I mean, there's no reason we can't do a Mythic Legions dragon. And it doesn't, maybe not necessarily all large-scale dragons either. I mean, dragons come in all shapes and sizes.
Yep.
Very true.
Animal companions.
Yep.
So I got a funny one here from our pal Chuck, who you've met at ToyCon. He wants to know if we could turn in 20 flight adapters for a free figure at ToyCon NJ.
The wing adapters, that's what he's talking about?
Yep.
I don't know if we're going to keep including those with the figures, because I'm sure you all have dozens of them.
Oh my God. We have a bin full.
I have about 5 in sight right now. I can see all over the place.
Well, our thinking was that we wanted to make sure that you could use the new Mythic Legions wings as well as the Gothotropolis wings with them, and use it on both the larger and smaller scale figures that we were doing. And we didn't want anybody to be left out. And the factory said, it doesn't cost us any more to just, it's in the mold anyway. We'll just stamp it out and throw it in there. And we're like, okay, go ahead, do it. Yeah, it's kind of a that's a good joke. We actually joke about that at the studio too. We're gonna have to think of another little extra tchotchke we throw in there that people are gonna get annoyed with.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dave.
So you know how you guys pay do the homages to like the Masters of the Universe stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna continue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because people have asked us if we're going to be doing homages to other properties, other toy lines, other cartoons and stuff, and not really. I mean, every once in a while you'll see hints of some things that inspired us over the years, but Masters of the Universe, I mean, we have such a connection to that, and how could we not pay homage to that line with everything that it's brought us, and and how much respect we have for that line? How could we not, our line that is, I think, somewhat successful because of the work that we did with Masters of the Universe. How could we not pay homage to that? So yeah, we're going to continue that. I mean, It'll just be like PowerCon debut figures that will be included in the line, and that we're not ever going to do any characters who are going to become major Mythic Legions characters, probably. But yeah, we're definitely going to continue with that. As a matter of fact, we were just discussing the next PowerCon, who the two were going to be that were going to be at PowerCon this year.
Okay, what are they? No, I'm just kidding.
It's it got real quiet all of a sudden.
But yeah, you can see that, like Rygor, of course I had to buy extra ones so I could make a War Duke,
well, we didn't plan that. I don't know what you're talking about.
So
there are people who have recognized that Snag is a tiny bit of an homage to an old
D&D character
too. Yeah.
So are those PowerCon exclusives, are those ever going to be available in like an All-Star Wave, or could you say like those are probably the exclusives of Mythic Legions?
That I can't say. I mean, we discussed it early on that those would not be part of an All-Star Wave, but so many people missed out on the earlier ones and want those so they can complete, their collection of Masters of the Universe homage figures that we're doing, that they might end up in an All-Star Wave at some point. We're not certain yet.
All right, because that doesn't help me, because I'm looking at I'm looking at the Man of Arms Orc homage that you did. Was it Uncan? How do you pronounce it?
Uncan.
And I'm like, should I spend $165 on this thing right now and freaking buy it already, or should I wait? And I've been waiting. That's the only one I don't have.
The problem with that, there are a lot of characters from Mythic Legions that you can collect, that are higher priced. You can collect some of the other characters in the wave and like put that guy together, kind of. But some of the MOTU homages, you really can't.
You can't.
There's no other characters that have the colors of that Uncan figure. So
yeah,
patience saves pockets. I like that saying.
It's a common saying in our group.
In the realm.
Realm of. While we're talking about homages, I was curious. JD, you kind of planted the seed for this, I think, a while back. But a few shows ago, we had Tim Clark on, who worked on Dark Crystal, Fraggle Rock, things like that.
Goblins,
and of course, Boglins. And we were kind of curious if the Bog Goblin was any kind of homage to the Boglins of the old.
No, not really. I mean, we like my favorite type of characters are the kind of square blocky kind of characters, and we originally did that Bog Goblin. It was it was based on the dwarf body, and we wanted to create some sort of a just disgusting monstrous character. I mean, maybe it was like in Erik's brain when he was designing it, maybe that had a little bit to do with it, that he liked some of the characters from Boglins or something like that, but it wasn't directly inspired by it. No.
Okay. I do have an interesting question here I want to bring up. It's from Danny Lee, and it's kind of cool because he's recognizing the type of armor that you're using, European and Greek, and he was curious if you're going to expand to other types of armor from different ethnicities and things.
Yes.
Haven't you guys already dived into some Middle Eastern stuff?
A little bit here and there, yeah. And some of the characters. I'm sorry.
The assassin,
Grisha, the Slitherer.
It's one of my favorite figures.
Yeah. But I mean, so far, that's kind of where the armor has been based and inspired by. But yeah, we do have plans in the future to kind of delve off a little bit. I hate to say like Asian inspired or inspired by Africa or whatever, because this isn't Earth. This is mythos. It's not the same planet that we live on, or it's at least not the same mythology that we live in. So basing it in that stuff completely, I don't think we'll ever do. But I think we're going to take lift different inspiration from different countries, different eras, and put them into, if not Mythic Legions, in one of the other lines that we have planned in the Legions realm.
realm.
Realm. Yeah.
Yo, Alex, Mr. Mythic Legion chews my ear off all day. You don't have any questions for Erik?
Yeah, I do.
Come
I thought he fell
on,
asleep.
Go to the chat.
go for it.
So, I got into this line real late, so there's still a lot of stuff I haven't picked up.
Me too.
The All-Star waves are kind of my hope. So, were you surprised by seeing these aftermarket prices of these figures?
Yeah, I mean, I only recently found out that, like, I knew the line was doing good on the aftermarket, but I only recently found out the prices, like characters like Otho, and I just saw something the other day sell for like $200 or $300, and that's, to me, that's insane. I never thought that they would be that popular and that sought after. But as far as like All-Stars waves go, we've talked about this before. Well, I mean, obviously we want to put characters in the All-Stars wave that people want and can't get a hold of. But we also we want to have Legion builders available all the time.
That's cool.
And we're hoping sometime in mid 2020 we can make that happen, where most, if not all, the Legion builders are available all the time in stock and able to be picked up through Megalopolis. Well, actually through Four Horsemen, but they'll be in Megalopolis's warehouse all the time. And hopefully a few of the other characters who not only are super popular, but characters that we have plans to be major players in the Mythic Legion's mythos down the road for a couple other things that we have planned that we can't talk about.
So does that mean there's more comics coming?
Can we get a fat guy?
Comics, that's what you want, huh?
Steve wants you to model a figure after him, is what he's asking.
That's a great question.
Yeah, more comics. Yeah, we want to do more comics. We want to do more. We want to do cartoons. We want to do movies. We want to do underoos. We want to do everything.
Yes.
But that's probably a little farther down the road.
Erik, did you get a chance to read that comment, that question just now?
No, I saw something.
Can we get a fat guy Mythic Legion?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the armor that's on, who's the guy in Magnus? It's kind of like almost like fat guy armor, a little bit. It's not a fat guy armor, but kind of. And if you put that armor on a dwarf, it might give him a little bit of a barrel-chested look. But yeah, we are going to get a couple of different sized people in Mythic Legions.
See, Gary, those aren't for you.
Yeah, it's not me. I'm good. I'm happy with what we got.
Steve,
you don't like the fat guys?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but he's friends with all of us, so go figure. Right? It's funny though, Steve, if you're listening, that Gamorrean guard from Star Wars, you get it on the cheap. You pop that head off and pop a Mythic Legion figure head on it. It works.
I've seen people doing that.
Yeah, I have one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So something that goes around our Mythic Legions chat a lot is it mythic? Where and then we ask if it's mythic enough to include on our Mythic Legion shelf.
Really?
A lot of it's garbage that we want to try to fit in there. I'm sure you see that a lot in the groups. What is the figure that you see people using the most that you think, why are people using this with my nice figures?
Oh, I don't know. I would never think
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
to me, I mean, what you like, everybody's collection is, it's individual. If it's what you like, go for it, man. I don't have any kind of ill will toward anybody else's collection. Like I said, I'm taking Marvel Legends figures and even some old DC figures and trying to turn them into kind of like Mezco 112th Collective custom. So I can't knock anybody for, wanting to put more characters on their shelves next to Mythic Legions. If they think it fits in, go for it. I mean, I've seen people do math. There you go. Look at that. That's a Gamorrean guard from Star Wars, and he threw an orc helmet on it.
Yep.
Or is that a goblin? That's the one of the
Goblin
heads.
head, yeah.
Goblin head.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good. We didn't plan it that way, but worked out. So no, I can't knock anybody for doing that. I've heard people like people are going out and buying those Leonard. I forget what movie it's from. Is it Jumanji? Like all the tigers and all that kind of stuff, and then setting them up with Mythic Legions. People are buying the Mattel dinosaurs, those big ones, and putting those with Mythic Legions.
You got it.
If you want to do that, super cool. Go for it. I think it's
So
cool.
the answer's always yes, then.
Yeah, always yes.
Gary loves putting his Mythic figures on dewbacks.
Exactly. Yeah, I think Star Wars Black Series dewback. Yep, it makes a great mount.
Why not? The orcs and the goblins go good on a dewback.
Absolutely.
Probably related to them. To me, if it inspires more Mythic Legion sales, go for it.
Exactly. Erik, I have one more question for you. My last question. Do you guys, the Four Horsemen, your crew, whatever, do you guys ever make characters that nobody else has seen for yourself?
I was thinking something similar, Dave. Yeah.
Not like a line that we're working on, like Mythic Legions or whatever.
Right.
We have done some stuff in the past for DC Universe Classics that have never been seen. There's stuff that we did for Harry Potter when Mattel was pitching to get the license for Harry Potter. We did a bunch of prototypes for that have never seen the light of day. Some of them are really cool. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but Mattel was even trying to get the Halo license. And we did some big 2-up figures of a few Halo characters that will never see the light of day. That was super cool. So not for Mythic Legions, not for our own lines. There's some stuff that we've done, but we've shown it all. It's stuff that has been seen. Some of the stuff from Symbiotech and Gothotropolis and stuff that never got made, but we don't actually spend the time making that stuff for ourselves anymore. We don't have the time to do it. But my pride and joy in my collection, Erik Treadway sculpted me a Benjamin J. Grimm Thing figure for Christmas. I guess it must have been, 15 years ago now, but it was based on the John Byrne Thing. And I mean, that's the one thing that we've done in studio that was kind of just for ourselves that I just cherish more than anything. I love that figure. I put it on my Facebook a couple of times.
That's a good look.
I'll check it out. We're friends on Facebook if you didn't know that already.
Yeah, you're the one that I do know. I don't know anybody else on Facebook.
So I have a question from the chat, and I'm pretty sure you are okay with this, but I just want to post it because I know that a few people kind of threw this in there a few times, but are you good with My Action Figure Customs and what they make available to the public?
Yeah, we've been asked this a few times, and I actually have spoken to the guy who runs My Action Figure Customs about this whole thing and what we are and are not okay with. If somebody is making like custom heads, things like that, and they're selling 20 or 30 pieces through Facebook or whatever, that's cool. Because if they're selling a head, that means they're going to need a body for that to go on as well.
Right.
And it kind of helps promote, some of the fandom too, people collecting these heads to create new characters. It makes them, makes it like when I'm doing Mezco, it makes me feel like I'm more involved with that line. So it makes fans feel like they're more involved with the line where they get to do things like that. Where we run into issues is if somebody starts selling like body parts to where you can just pretty much build your Mythic Legions figure and you don't have to buy it off of us anymore. And if they're like mass producing it where they're like creating and selling hundreds of them, then it kind of cuts into our property. And if you're going to do that, you should be licensing our product in order to do that. We would definitely license our product out to people, but you should go the legal route if you're going to go that heavy into it. But my Action Figure Customs, I mean, some of the stuff I've seen on there I really love. I think they're doing beautiful work.
Yep.
And we talked about it, and he's agreed, I'm only going to keep it to a certain amount to make sure that it's, doesn't go too crazy. So we don't have an issue with that yet.
Yeah, they do some good stuff. The only problem I have with them is they sell out too quick.
Yeah.
It's like something goes up, and within 2 days, if you didn't jump on something, it's gone.
Yeah. I mean, if we see people starting to like step on our toes, and like if people are like, the one thing that we have a huge problem with, and I've actually contacted a couple of people on eBay and asked them to stop, is they'll take one of our character heads, they'll mold it, they'll cast it, and they'll just sell it as is. We can't allow that. I mean, if you're going to go and mold it and cast it and like customize it into your own, something of your own, and then, you know, sell it that way, that's one thing. But if you're just directly molding and casting what we did, then that's kind of like stealing from an artist. You really can't do that. Like I can't go take photocopies of a comic drawn by Art Adams and then throw it up on eBay and say, you know, this photocopy I did and I'm selling it. You can't do that. Right. I mean, you could, but it's not ethical. It's not cool.
Right.
Cool. That's pretty good answer. I mean, for me, it's exactly what you said. I kind of feel like I'm creating my own characters.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so good stuff. I actually bought a head. I got a head recently, and I don't think this is anything you guys have done.
No,
This one's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so I was just like, I'm gonna add that to my collection.
And you had it sent to your own house. Look at you.
Well, the shipping on this wasn't too bad, so the tax couldn't have been either.
Yeah, as long as people keep it, you know, they're not doing mass production on it, and they're not directly ripping off something that we're doing, and they're kind of creating their own thing, then we don't have a problem with that.
Cool. You guys are good or what?
Yeah, it's past Gary's bedtime.
I know. We're holding up Eric's lasagna right now.
My girlfriend made me lasagna, dude.
Yeah,
I'm sure the house smells great, and he's probably like, "I'm good, guys. I'm good.
Yeah.
Let me go eat." So
we're gonna. Should we go around and just say who our favorite character is, real quick?
Oh, that's good, Gary. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, mine's definitely Rhaegar for sure.
Wow.
Because you know we have this thing, Erik, about like the realm of enablers also. So I don't know if you guys do that with each other, like in your friend group. But I owe that to Brian, who actually picked that up for me at one of the Toy Cons, and that was my gateway figure into the series. So
wow. Do you know the history behind that figure?
I really don't, other than what stood out to me as the homage to some of the other characters we already talked about. So
no, it's a guy. His name was Ray. Can't remember his name. He was a Mythic Legions fan and a Four Horsemen fan, and he really pushed our stuff, and he was like super positive on all the message boards he was on and all the Facebook groups, and just a positive, helpful guy. Whenever anybody was like, "Oh, I'm looking for this," he would do his best to help him out. He was just a super, really nice guy, and just one of the top-notch guys in the collector community. And he passed away suddenly and unexpectedly.
Oh man!
And a lot of the fans that were friends with him, they were really upset by it, and they're like, we should do some sort of a tribute to it. And we said, you know what? Why don't we do a tribute to it? So we created that figure for Ray and donated the extra proceeds to his family for his funeral expenses. And stuff.
Wow, that's really cool.
That's really awesome.
Well, I'm glad I bought a bunch of those.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you can make Dungeons and Dragons figures out of them, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
So Rhaegar is your favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite guy for sure.
That's a good choice.
Juno's my favorite.
There you go, the Crusher.
The Crusher.
I don't know who mine is. Like, I probably have a favorite of each, skeleton, orc. I don't know. It's too hard. Really.
I've heard that a lot too. People say it's too hard. And you know what? You said Juno's your favorite. You could probably pull her off for Halloween next year. Just shave one side of your head.
I think I'm gonna try actually.
Tattoo the thing on
she actually asked me, like, she's like, should I shave my head? Because she wants to get the side of her head tattooed. And I'm like, I mean, maybe wait a little bit. She was gonna kind of do like a rogue thing here. I think that's where her hair went wrong today.
Yeah. Well, you could always grow your hair back and cover the tattoo if you don't like it anymore.
Yeah, well,
yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
Can't wait to see Chan at 75 with a big tattoo on her head.
It's gonna be great.
I will say I'm sorry. I pulled her thing. I will say I love this figure. The blood
Oh,
armor.
that's the blood armor.
Yeah.
Vorgus
So-
Vermilius.
Yeah, so I made a new cape for him.
Nice. That looks good.
And I gave him a little bit of a loincloth as well.
Nice. That's really cool.
So, but yeah, I really like this figure a lot too.
That was a fan voted figure during our first Kickstarter.
Oh,
that
okay.
Fans actually helped create it. We had
you know what? I
fans-
do remember this.
Yeah. Fans actually went through and they chose different body parts to use for the figure, and they chose eventually the color of it and everything. And so fans had a hand in designing that figure.
Yeah. Super awesome.
Who's next?
I'll go next. Mine's Ravina.
Nice.
Wait, it's not Gwendolyn?
Gwendolyn. She got exceeded, I guess.
Oh, man.
Oh.
You talked about her for months.
Gwendolyn is stunning, though. She's just there in her gold, all sparkly and wonderful.
That's the second figure on here tonight that was also designed by fans.
Yeah, I can't tell if she's a
another one.
mage or a warrior or what. I just love it.
She's a little of both. But yeah, fans had a hand in that the same way. Like they chose the body parts, the armor parts, the head and everything for it. They chose the colors of her and everything. So, wow, 2 fan-chosen characters on the show. And a figure that was an homage to a fan. So, wow, it's crazy.
How about you, Alex?
Mine's probably Hagnon. Like I was on the fence before I ordered him, but when I got him in hand, I love that zombie ghost head sculpt he comes with.
Yeah.
I love the translucent. I love the glow in the dark. He's just fantastic in hand.
Cool. He's super simple as far as colors and everything goes, but he's really effective. He looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys hear the story about that when we were trying to get the colors from the factory? So he was originally going to be, he came out like a green glow-in-the-dark color, and originally he was going to be 50% green, 50% of the figures would be green, and 50% of them would be blue glow-in-the-dark, and you would just get what you get. You just randomly receive either the blue glow or the green glow one. So when we asked the factory to do it, we want them 50% this and 50% that. They sent us back a Hagnon that was perfectly split down the middle. One side was blue and one side was green glow. We're like, no.
Wow.
We had no idea what we were talking about. So, yeah, we need to take another picture of that and put it up again. That was a funny story. But we ended up not doing the blue because we told fans we were planning to do that, and they didn't like the idea of that. They're like, I want to get the one that I want to get. And we're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. So we'll eventually release a blue one of him down the road somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Love that glow in the dark stuff.
He's permanently in the prison cell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in
castle.
in the dungeon that we built.
Wow. Is that finished?
No.
Wait.
We're just about to start what would be the ground level. So
Nice.
we're just about to start that.
Yeah.
Nice. That thing's beautiful.
Well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Well, you'll get to see it close up.
Nice.
In November.
Yes.
We'll be bringing.
Why? What will be going on in November?
Well, there's Jeremy had started a little thing for after ToyCon.
Legion's Con.
Legion's Con.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, he asked if we would want to bring some of our dioramas to kind of show them off, and he's got he'll have his customs there, and some of the other guys will be there that do all kinds of stuff, and I guess Walter will be there with t-shirts.
Walt's gonna be there. Yep.
Nice.
There'll be t-shirts.
We got to meet Walt at PowerCon. He's a pretty good dude.
Awesome. Yeah, he really is.
What
about you, JD?
What's up? What am I doing?
What's your favorite one? Or wait,
you didn't say.
Oh yeah, I could.
You couldn't choose.
Dave. Yeah, I couldn't choose.
Oh.
There's too many. Who didn't answer though? Dave?
I didn't answer, but
Oh, Dave
nobody
didn't
cares
answer?
about me. I love the orcs, obviously. You know, I'm buying them aftermarket and everything. But if I had to choose aside from those, I would say Gonks. Is that the Goblin General? I like him just because I I've customized a few dwarfs out of him as well. So
Cool.
He's my favorite.
As I said, my favorite's Brontus, but I like the besides him, I like the goblins. All the goblins, I just love.
Yeah.
Oh, Chuck will love that.
Yeah, Chuck loves that.
That's what got me hooked was the goblins at first,
Yeah.
and then I was like, "Oh shit, they have orcs too." I was like, I gotta get some of those guys.
I like the Thistlethorn.
Yeah.
I got you guys to sign him for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There's a thing coming up. Hopefully, we'll be able to announce in the very near future. Thistlethorn is an important character in Mythic Legions.
Oh.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, he is. I think he comes with a sword for a reason.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Josh in the chat. He wants to know if any future trolls are coming.
Of course. I mean, the one thing that we had plans with the trolls early on is that we definitely eventually want to keep doing more trolls. I mean, the ice troll was just so crazy popular, but we've gotten to a point now that we don't want to just keep recycling the exact same parts in just a new head.
Right.
So at some point, we're going to start creating new arms and hands and feet and legs and stuff for them. Use some of the same body parts, but make them so we can actually start mixing and matching some of the troll parts to create different looking trolls.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's cool.
I mean, I noticed from the box art, there's one troll on there that hasn't been made yet. So,
Oh, from the box art.
Yeah.
He's related to the Bog Goblins.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
That's sweet.
Good to know. Good to know.
Did we get more comic books?
I was saying that earlier, and we don't have any current solid plans to do more comic books, but we definitely want to do more. I mean, the first one was people seem to like it quite a bit. So, well, I just saw Skeletor pop up. What was that?
No comic books. I don't feel well.
But yeah, we do want to do comic books, and like I said before, cartoons and movies and everything eventually.
I'm in for the underoos. Let's do this.
All right. Let's make both boys and girls underoos then.
Just make sure the girls' ones are super sexy. That's yep. Yep.
So, guys, I'm gonna start wrapping up if you don't mind.
Yeah, JD, you'll look good in those.
Sure I would.
Yeah, you will.
I'm gonna start wrapping up. I'm gonna just throw a reminder out there, the other shows we have on the network. So stay tuned. So for all you Mythic people who are listening today who don't normally listen, if you liked what you heard today, come back. We do talk Mythic from time to time, but we also talk other things, and we have some more Mythic stuff planned. So, and hopefully, Erik, this won't be your last time here. Hopefully not.
No, anytime you guys want to have me on, this was a lot of fun.
All right,
I would love to come on again.
All right, so we got to kick a member off, and we'll have him on every week going forward for the next.
Yeah, you can hang.
Tuesday nights are the nights my girlfriend makes me dinner. I don't think she'll let me come on here every week.
But thank you. I want to thank you from all of us for being here. It was a
Thanks for
pleasure.
the time.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, ToyCon, New Jersey.
Yep.
November 10th and 11th.
Yeah.
And then we'll be at Designer Con November 22nd through the 24th.
Nice.
Only if we can get to the West Coast, right?
Yeah. And we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, so keep an eye on sourcehorseman.com. We're going to be making some announcements of some upcoming stuff for celebrating our 20th with us.
Wow, that figure looks amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
The horse guy?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Is his mask removable?
Oh, that's a good question. No, it's a head. It's actually it's this exact, like you can take that head off of his body and put it on one of the horse bodies. It's the same scale.
Nice.
So you can swap that head out from the ogre body to the horse body. You can swap other horses' heads over to that or ogre body. So
awesome. Yeah. So Erik, just let everybody know where they can find you. outside of today?
You can. Our main news outlet is sourcehorseman.com. That's SOURCEHORSEMAN.com. You can find us on Facebook at it's Four Horsemen, all one word, _toy design, all one word. And then we're on Instagram. What is it? Is it? I don't know. I don't remember what our Instagram handle is.
I think it's
It might just be Four Horsemen Studios.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's Four Horsemen Studios on Instagram with underscores in between each of the words.
Awesome. And how about our other guest, not so guest, but guest, Alex?
Alex is on Facebook and in Roma Collectors on Instagram as Collecticon, but not very active these days.
Why not?
Yeah,
Just
get
haven't
on it.
taken any pictures. I know.
Let's get on that, Alex. Come on.
Need
Let's
to.
go. I got to get on that too. G Money.
Gary Allen of Facebook groups. And I did just want to mention that one of the things we do in the community, we try and do events and things like toy drives and things like that a couple times a year. So at the TF Con, right in Ruston, we've got it's on our Facebook page, but we are doing the toy drive there as well. Yep, there's the info. So again, instructions are there. If you have any questions, hit any of us up in a message, or we have you can make a cash donation as well. And Jason Lowry is taking care of all that stuff at the meetup. So keep that in mind.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. I almost forgot about that.
Yep, no worries. We got it. Yep.
Thank you. And Mr. Brian Brink.
You can find me, Brian Brink, in the Facebook groups at Brinkalizer on Instagram, and standing at line at ToyCon here in a few weeks. Waiting to pick up some goodies.
Yeah, getting elbowed by our friend Dom, who didn't make it tonight. But
That's right.
Did you guys know that at ToyCon, Torgan Redfin from the Wasteland, Mythic Legions of the Wasteland wave, that's what's going to be the debut figure?
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you guys to pick me up at least one of those.
Maybe, Alex. We'll see. We'll see.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Good
How about JD and Chan?
Go ahead.
Oh, you can find me, Chandra Cooper, on Facebook. You can find me on Monday nights on ETR right here on the Roma Collectors channel on YouTube. And and road raging, driving to New Jersey to pick up some Mythic Legions in a couple weeks.
If you're going to road rage, this is the place to do it.
That's true. And I will be at the IROC meetup at TFCon. I'll be there. See you guys there.
You can find me, Pigment Surgery, on Instagram and Xbox Live. Here every Tuesday with these fine fellows. Every other Wednesday on Figga Bangin'. No new show this week. And you can also find the two of us on something a little new called Shelf Life on social media.
Nice.
Or Shelf Gravy, not Shelf Life. I'm sorry.
We're Shelf Gravy on Instagram.
Yeah.
Shelf gravy.
Shelf gravy.
Yeah.
Like that.
Gravy.
Awesome. And as for me, I'm Energon Addict on Instagram, David Colon in the Facebook groups. Find me lurking in the Cabal, looking for your goblins and orcs and anything you might be getting rid of at a decent amount. And catch me here on Tuesdays. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Eric, thank you again for coming,
thank you.
coming
Really
on.
Thank you, guys. I
Thank
appreciate it. I'll see you guys in a few weeks at, not just New Jersey, the ToyCon New Jersey, but also at Legions Con.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Gonna be a good time.
And everybody else watching and listening, have a good rest of your week. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, peoples.
Good night.
Say it with me now. Really?